Something massive just happened in the gacha space. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Kuro Games just committed the biggest power play move I've seen in such a long time. This just shows me how serious they are, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes which I kinda have to talk about here. This kinda changes everything for me, at least my perspective at least. In this video, we're gonna talk exactly why the Wuthering Waves taking over Times Square is so important, why they're advertising now with the game coming out with 2 weeks, what the other effects are, and what does this mean for Genshin Impact and the other gacha games. Because yes, it is going to be the end of Genshin. I'm joking. Anyone that will tell you that is they're brain dead. The Genshin antis, they need some serious help. And I'm going to say some controversial things in this video. I'm not going to spoil that for you right now. Let's get into it. On May 12th, which was yesterday at the time of recording, as long as my editor pulled up his socks and he stops being lazy, this video will be out on time. Wuthering Waves absolutely did the biggest power play I've seen in such a long time. They played a 2-minute ad on all of the screens in Times Square. Now, I'm not an advertising expert, but 2 minutes in advertisements is long, especially for one advert. If you think about traditional TV, you have a 5-minute ad break. Imagine half of that being just one advert. Now, imagine one advert literally taking over Times Square for 2 whole minutes. It's a bit mental if you just think about it from that perspective. Was it necessary? No, it's more of a point of saying, look at us, we are here and we're here to stay. We are not messing around anymore. So in this advertisement, they showcase some enemies, some bosses, and it showcased some important characters. Of course, the MC, but they definitely know who their target audience is, because I feel like they hanged on this character for a bit longer than they needed to. I don't know her name. We all know who the vast majority of the internet are going to be saving their polls for. So here's the crazy thing. Kuro Games, you may think, is a massive company, making a game of this scale that is competing with Genshin. Some people will crucify you if you compare it to Genshin or say they're trying to compete with Genshin, but they are, okay? They're trying to take a piece of that pie and competition is good. They're trying to compete with a billion-dollar company which has an absolute monopoly on the industry. That's a bit crazy, knowing that Kuro Games is actually a small company. They only made one game before this, Punishing Grey Raven. Punishing Grey Raven is not too big in the online content creation space because not too many people play it. I love PGR, I play it a lot. Not too much nowadays, I haven't been playing too many gacha games, but there's something magical about PGR. And it's not that it's a great game, because it has its problems. The issue is that it's clearly a mobile game. Just look at PGR. It is a mobile game through and through. Not like Genshin, where Genshin can honestly pass off as a AAA game, because Genshin honestly looks amazing. PGR is kinda ugly sometimes, and it makes sense. It's literally their first game. So, Wuthering Waves being their second game, and somehow having enough budget to make this game and afford an advertisement like this is kind of really impressive to me, because this game hasn't come out yet and they're putting a lot of effort into this. Genshin has had a few massive advertisement campaigns, like they have done similar things where they take over massive spaces, maybe not to this extent, but they do have pretty substantial advertisements with big technological feats. I remember there was a Huta advert a while ago which I was really impressed by, but the thing is they did it after the release. I may not be aware of this, but all the ones that I've noted have been after the release, but I could be wrong. So for this game, which is a relatively new company, to be coming out and putting this much effort into their advertisement is huge. Mainly because Kuro Games, quite frankly, doesn't have an advertisement department, because when I started playing PGR, hanging out on the PGR subreddit, I was surprised that I saw someone raving about the fact that they saw a PGR advert on YouTube, which is pretty surprising because I never saw one either. Because if you guys don't know, if you play a certain game or you watch a lot of game content, advertisers know that you like this content and they tend to show you the advertisement for the game, which is a bit dumb because you're already playing the game, but it knows your interest so and so. I've actually never seen a PGR advert anywhere. So they're right. It's a bit crazy to see a PGR advert in the wild. They don't know really how to advertise and they do a terrible job of it. So from the company going from not knowing how to apply for an advert probably to taking over Times Square, is huge, in my opinion, okay? So some people may not see the scale of that, but hey, maybe I'm making a big deal out of nothing. That kind of blew my mind. So apparently, not only did they take over Times Square, they also had more advertisements up in Akihabara in Tokyo. I'm sorry if I butchered that, but these guys are really stepping up their game. They seem really confident in their product, and they are not shying away from the competition. They want people to see who they are and that they're here to stay. So, advertising 2 weeks before the game's release. So, it's a pretty good strategy to save up all their budget just up until the game's release, just so it's fresh in people's minds. With less than 9 days until the release date, the game needs to properly establish itself. A lot of people are not in the gacha space, so they don't even know what this type of game is, or probably aren't even aware of it. Most people who know Wuthering Waves, I will bet some good money, know about it because of Genshin or have some affiliation to Genshin. Most players outside of the gacha sphere don't understand the current civil war between Genshin, HSR, and Wuthering Waves. You know, the whole Wuthering Waves is going to be the savior. It's the gift from God that's going to help all Genshin antis and fix all the problems. I have a lot of controversial opinions about that because I think that is a stupid statement, and I love Wuthering Waves, but it's definitely not the game a lot of people think it's going to be. But I'm going to save those opinions for an upcoming video, so be prepared for that if you want, or not. I don't really care. What they're trying to do is really get out of the gacha space and establish itself as not just being another gacha or Genshin clone. The clear goals of this ad is to ensure that people know this is its own unique, mainstream AAA game, trying to escape of the, the gacha sphere. Because I've spoken to many people, everyone that plays Genshin knows about Wuthering Waves, and anyone that doesn't really play gacha games, they have no clue what Wuthering Waves is. But doing a big power play like this is going to get the word out. Furthermore, with these increasing ads in the last few days, they're trying to take space in everyone's mind leading up to the release of the game, because it's been a while and some people might have forgot about the game, like myself. I've been rather busy, but now thanks to this obviously big move that they did, I am forced to make a video on it, so it definitely worked. And then, my viewers are going to see it. So even if it may seem like a massive expense, I don't know how many people view those adverts, but they've gotten millions of people talking on the internet. So it's not like the actual advert itself was even a big deal. The commotion online that was caused by this is definitely huge and was worth the money. And they're trying to get as much pre-registers as possible. I'm pretty sure they hit 30 million, which is absolutely huge. I've not seen a game more hype than this in a long time. It's absolutely crucial to get as much pre-registers and downloads before the game even gets out, just so they can show investors and show how much potential revenue they can get in the future. Because I do believe there's a lot of eyes on the gacha space at the moment, as everyone is getting quite bored of Genshin. And I'm sure investors are aware of this and they're looking for the next big thing. So, what are the other effects? As you said before, Wuthering Waves isn't really known to people outside the gacha community. We already know this. With this push in advertising, they're definitely trying to hit a more mainstream audience. Pretty obvious, I get it. But this could have two very important impacts on the gacha space as a whole. Firstly, with a large ad campaign like this, we know that a lot of people outside are gonna start playing, which will lead to a lot of new people joining this community, leading them to try other gacha games as well. Yes, even Genshin. Secondly, as more people join the gacha community, there will be new styles of content, and hopefully we will be able to have a bit more of a refresh in the drying well of gacha content. I won't lie, gacha content is kind of boring in my opinion. There's only so many times I can watch news, guides, and polling videos, and new faces will definitely be fun to see, and I can't wait to see what the PGR guys have to say about Wuthering Waves, with them being career games experts. With the new release of the game, new faces on the scene, we hope that people will have new innovative challenges and new ways to play the game, new ways to be creative and share this stupid hobby that we all have. So, what does this mean for Genshin Impact, everyone's favorite game? I actually haven't played Genshin in a few days because I went outside and I touched some grass, and I'm feeling pretty sad because I missed out on 500 primo gems. I gotta get back on that Genshin grind, okay? I don't like how gacha games do this to me, okay? It's a very bad tactic, but it definitely works, because why am I feeling sad that I didn't play a video game? Anyway, different video for a different day. So, of course, 30 million pre-release pre-registers. absolutely huge numbers. 30 million is no joke, and I don't think anyone really expected it to get this far. I don't think Kuro Games expected it either, in my honest opinion. In my honest opinion, 90% of this is from Genshin. Whatever, take what you will from that statement. It is what it is. They are capitalizing on the current downtrend, downfall of Genshin, if you will. And I think it's a good thing, because competition is what leads to growth. If there's no competition, there is no growth. There's no reason to push yourself. That's just how it is. And this goes hand in hand with the degenerate brain rot state of the internet as a whole. I just straight up stopped watching gacha content, because the only video I see nowadays is the end of Genshin. Wuthering Waves will kill Genshin. All I see on the internet is how this game is going to kill Genshin, etc, etc. Genshin antis are having a field day with this, and I'm happy that they're happy, okay? But I hate to break it to you, this is not going to be the end of Genshin, and I don't think it will really make too much of an impact. Genshin impact, it's okay. I will leave. I do think it will make at least a small dent, but not anything substantial. There's a few reasons for this. I have an upcoming video about why this whole Genshin v Wuthering Waves situation is as stupid as it gets, and all the content creators right now are just kind of using it for clicks and just bait more attention, because I don't think anyone else has anything to talk about right now, if I'm honest with you. But the release of Wuthering Waves will definitely be interesting, and I will be grabbing my popcorn to watch all of this go down. Anyway, with the release of Wuthering Waves, good or bad, it's actually going to have positive effects on Genshin. At least I think so, at least. As we established before, with the release of Wuthering Waves, more content creators will be here, more opportunities to create content that isn't Genshin related. That's all good. People are going to have more ways to express themselves. And then doesn't this directly contradict with what I just said, how it's going to be good for Genshin? Well, not really, no. The issue is that Genshin content and the style of content is kind of bland. 3 or 4 years, however long it's been, with no real reason to push anything, no real reason to push creative outlets, no competition, people making the same bland game or forced to watch the same videos because there's no other games in the genre that quite hit the same. I feel like with new people joining the scene and people not forced to make Genshin content, people making Genshin content will be people that actually enjoy the game for what it is. Because I won't lie, when I see a lot of content made these days, it feels like some of these content creators literally have to make videos or their bills won't get paid. So yeah, it's quite depressing to see. However, now that there's different games to make content on instead of Genshin within the gacha space that hit a certain, which is close to Genshin, because I know HSR is a thing, but you won't catch me watching a HSR video because that's boring. I'm sorry, but it's true. Making turn-based videos is not interesting to me. If it's interesting to you, good job. I'm proud of you. Keep watching. But for me, no, it does not hit the same, okay? Just doesn't hit the same. At least in my opinion, it's going to make Genshin content a lot more refreshing and unique than before, because there's just more competition now. And this also goes for the players as well. And with all the noise going on with the gacha space, I'm sure a lot more people are actually going to be loading up Genshin to see what they missed if they quit recently, just to see how this genre is progressing and moving forward, because Genshin is one of the closest things to Wuthering Waves, and with people coming to Wuthering Waves is going to directly help Genshin, because I don't understand how some of you guys haven't learnt this yet, but these games, the way they're designed, they're live service games, they have dead patches, high points, low points, they have set amount of content you got to go through, and it's a lot of content granted, but there's always an end to the content. What are you going to do once you hit the wall of content? Not much. In Mihoyo's case, you play Genshin and then play HSR. I think HSR is a bit boring, just personally. I prefer other RPGs like Persona or Final Fantasy. HSR does not hit it for me. For people like me, I'm not a fan of the turn-based gachas. I like open world, more interactive gachas, I guess. I will probably be playing Genshin, and then instead of playing HSR in the Genshin downtime, I'll be playing Wuthering Waves, so on and so forth. Thus, people can kind of play both. However, I do understand it's a big ask because there's only so many gachas you can play at one time. I've met people that like to challenge that idea, but for the layman, it is true. And some people just don't want to play Honkai Star Rail as much as people like to pretend. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people don't like it when people say anything bad about Honkai Star Rail. It's just not my kind of game, okay? I don't want to get cancelled again because I don't like Honkai Star Rail. Overall, to take it all away, competition is very healthy, and I believe it will help rejuvenate the gacha space as a whole. And oh boy, trust me, I guarantee you, £1,000, there's going to be a whole new wave of drama as well. But I do think it's going to be less because there's actually stuff to do for now. But I know with the Wuthering Waves, Honkai Star Rail players and Genshin players all going to have to get along. It's going to be a bit of a mess. But with all the new content to make, I assume it's going to be safe for about a month. And then after about a month, maybe even sooner, everything's going to hit the fan with people not getting along, because these groups of people haven't been forced to interact together or have to share the same space because, hey, they play different games. But now everyone's going to be looking at Wuthering Waves. It's going to be interesting to see how this affects Honkai Star Rail creators, because I'm sure so many of those guys are going to make Wuthering Waves content now. But competition is good. Can't wait to see where this leads. And very interestingly, Genshin Impact failed where another game succeeded. There was a massive story that's been hitting headlines and making waves around the internet, and I done a video analyzing that and talking exactly about where Genshin failed and what we can learn from it. So make sure to click this video over there. Oh yeah, I don't have my hands today. Go click it. It's a good video, I promise.